So on today's episode, we're going to be previewing one tangible way that we're helping leaders proactively come together and deal with these important issues that are happening in the world. We're going to be previewing the event that I host, Thermostat Cultures Live, on Friday, November 8th, 2024. It's a hybrid event. And so on today's episode, we're going to preview this powerful experience that's coming soon. And I want everybody to know from the very beginning, the purpose of this is the fact that all of us, we all, no matter what role you play in your life, let alone the organization you serve, we all need time to step back, to think, and to breathe a little bit. And, we're all still developing. And yet the best leaders and cultures know that they need space to kind of calibrate their own thermostat. And what does it mean to be an authentic leader in the world today? And how can we be even more intentional about creating those compelling cultures that we want to create and we want people to be a part of? Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. Wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today, welcome in. So glad you are here. If you are new to the podcast, welcome in. So glad that you are making this a part of your day wherever you're listening. We're in season 8, which means we have over 240 episodes or something like that. So dive in. Hope you'll check out past topics. Great chats that I've had with thought leaders from around the world. So much great stuff to dive in and catch yourself up. If you're somebody who's, one of the OGs that have been with us from the very beginning of this podcast, welcome back. So glad this continues to add value to your life and your work. My commitment to you all, my hope is for every episode that I do is that this is an opportunity for you to step back, for you to think, for you to have a little oxygen, good oxygen breathed into you, and to think about the temperature that you're trying to set in your life and your work and the culture that you're trying to create, and to be intentional about doing that. We know that we need that in the world, and I'm so grateful for everybody that's thinking about this, for the people that they lead, serve, and the organizations that you're trying to build. So glad, honored to be the voice guiding us through this. If you'll do me the quick favor before we dive into today's episode, if you'll rate the podcast 5 stars, of course, on whatever platform you're on. This helps people find the podcast, helps share it further. So rate the podcast 5 stars. If you'll leave a review, like an authentic review in your own words, what resonates with you? Why is this important? Why are these messages important in the world we live in today? Every time you do that, that helps the algorithms find it, share it with more people. So thanks to anybody that does that. And lastly, outside of rating and reviewing, which please do those things, but share it. For you personally, every time you share the podcast, whether that's on social media, if there's an episode that resonates with you and you share it, or you share it with your team at work, you say, hey, let's listen to this and then talk about it, share it with family or colleagues, however you share content. Every time you do that, it helps amplify messages further in the world. And I appreciate anybody that takes the time to do that, because that's the point. We want to share good messages out there in the world. So thanks to everybody that takes the time to do that. I'm very grateful. So we know that so much has happened in the world over the past few years. We certainly on this podcast, we've been talking about navigating what was, has been referred to as the future of work, and helping us coming out of the pandemic, transition from fully remote work to hybrid work to, we've been talking about how do we create in-person experiences and virtual experiences that are compelling for people. We've been talking about navigating work-life balance and without losing performance and results. We've been identifying trends and leadership tips and keys to helping people, create compelling cultures. We've been talking about the Great Resignation and what that meant for the kind of employee engagement crisis that some people have been talking about and identifying. And all along, we've been talking about the fact, the power of developing trust and caring leaders and cultures that are intentional really is what's helping organizations thrive and create places that people want to be a part of. And so we, along the way, we've been talking about all kinds of topics related to all of these things, and certainly emotional intelligence that we know is needed right now in the world. And also, as we are building that ecosystem of our culture, of the thinking, acting, and interacting, that if we can be intentional about the culture that we're creating, that it's going to be more attractive to people. We're going to retain more people. And ultimately, we're going to care for people and develop people in a way that helps us be better at what we do. We're also not too far removed from, heading into 2023 when the Surgeon General of the United States of America declared that workplace culture was a health crisis in America, and that studies were telling us that employees have never felt lonelier. And so, we've talked about all these things, and in recent episodes, we've certainly dived into different topics related to the fact that developing people and culture within organizations is not only the right thing to do just for human beings, but also positive business outcomes and organizational performance metrics follow. So it's the right thing to do for people, and it's the right thing to do for your business or your mission. So on today's episode, we're going to be previewing one tangible way that we're helping leaders proactively come together and deal with these important issues that are happening in the world. We're going to be previewing the event that I host, Thermostat Cultures Live, on Friday, November 8th, 2024. It's a hybrid event. It's an in-person. There's a VIP in-person event in Columbus, Ohio, with limited seating. And also there's an online virtual experience for anybody that wants to participate remotely. And so on today's episode, we're going to preview this powerful experience that's coming soon. And I want everybody to know from the very beginning, the purpose of this is the fact that all of us, we all, no matter what role you play in your life, let alone the organization you serve, we all need time to step back, to think, and to breathe a little bit. And, we're all still developing. And yet the best leaders and cultures know that they need space to kind of calibrate their own thermostat. And what does it mean to be an authentic leader in the world today? And how can we be even more intentional about creating those compelling cultures that we want to create and we want people to be a part of? So we're going to dive into previewing this year's event in just a moment. But before we do that, let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I want to share with you the great excitement for this year's Thermostat Cultures Live event on Friday, November 8th, 2024. As you know, this event that I've hosted over the last 7 years has been an inspiring day of development focused on authentic leadership and culture. I've been joined by powerful voices like Howard Behar, former president of Starbucks, Shane Battier, two-time NBA champion, Jenny Britton, founder of Jenny's Ice Cream, Jessica Jackley, co-founder of Kiva, Cameron Mitchell from Cameron Mitchell Restaurants, Greg Oden, and on and on and on. This year, Thermostat Cultures Live will be a hybrid event. There will be a powerful VIP in-person experience with limited seating in Columbus, Ohio, and a virtual experience for those wanting to participate remotely. I am so excited about this year's lineup of voices joining me, such as New York Times bestselling author of Atomic Habits, James Clear, and founder of The Theory of Enchantment, Chloe Valdery. So please visit thermostatcultureslive.com or jasonvbarger.com to learn more, and I hope you'll help share the word and join these conversations that are the currency for change. Rally your team, reserve your seats, thermostatcultureslive.com. So on today's episode, we're previewing my event that I host coming up Friday, November 8th, 2024, Thermostat Cultures Live. You can learn more at thermostatcultureslive.com. But I want to be previewing, and I want to tell you 5 quick things that you all should know about this year's event. The first thing I'll tell you about is it's a hybrid event. So let me explain what that is. I mean, we've been living in this hybrid world, but let me just highlight a couple of things. There will be a VIP in-person experience with limited seating in Columbus, Ohio, as usual. So we've got an amazing venue, Franklin Park Conservatory, the barn in Columbus, Ohio. It's an amazing space. The way that we set it up is really, really cool. And there is just an unbelievable gathering of humans. Leaders from across industries. That's one of my favorite things is watching all these amazing people kind of come together in one room. But it's a great intimate setting. It's a great it's just a really cool thing to be a part of. So if you can be there and be a part of that VIP in-person experience, that's one way you can experience it. But there's also an online virtual experience. If you can't be in Columbus, Ohio, or you can't, for whatever reason, it's the virtual thing is better for you. If you want to join remotely, I would invite you to do that so you don't miss out on these conversations and the great engagement that's going to take place that day. So it's a hybrid event. VIP in-person experience and a remote virtual experience, and you can learn more at thermostatcultureslive.com or reserve your seat, whatever fits your needs. The next thing that I'll share with you is that why do I do this event? And well, I'll just say it's needed. That all of us, myself included, that it's such a great practice each year to take some time to kind of step back and recalibrate your own personal thermostat, but also to think about that in the context of your team and the organization that you're trying to build. And even if things are going great, to be thoughtful about the next stretch of the road and what is it that you're intentionally doing. And if you're really struggling right now, then it's a perfect time to step back and say, all right, how can I calibrate your own personal thermostat? And then think about that temperature that you're trying to set for the people around you and your team and your organization. So we also know that it's needed because so much that's been happening in the world, again, as we talk about in organizations, retaining and attracting and developing talent and building cultures that people want to be a part of for that, again, that quote unquote, the future of work. We've got to be authentic and we've got to be creating cultures that people want to be a part of. We also know we're in some of the most divisive times in the history of the world, that just human beings in general are so divided on so many issues. And so all of us as leaders need space and time to step back and breathe and think about how we enter and lead people in compelling and authentic ways. The third thing I'll tell you about is that there are powerful voices joining me. So even if you don't think my voice is powerful or important, then I'll invite you to come be a part of the others that will be joining me. I'll be there, of course. I'll be the host. I'll be guiding us through the experience, but I'm joined by some amazing and inspiring thought leaders from across the country that I'm going to highlight here in just a second, but who are going to share how they are calibrating their own thermostat to set the temperature that they desire for the next 12 months. But also, it's going to be a very interactive, you're going to have a chance to interact with these people and a great dialogue that happens around the room. It's just a powerful experience that really is different than so many conferences that you might go to. The fourth thing I'll share with you is that the purpose and the focus on this is actions. It's solutions focused and it's about impact. So this isn't just a day to hear some nice stories and say that was a nice thing to be a part of, although that will be certainly a great element of it. This day will leave you inspired and with tangible next steps to stimulate progress in your life and your work. So we're going to definitely be talking about, hey, what are some next actions? What is solutions for whatever it is that you're struggling with? And what's the impact that you're hoping to have as a leader, as a team, as an organization? And so you're going to walk out of there with some, hey, here are some next things that I want to be even more intentional about. And lastly, I'll just share with you that pre-sale tickets and are available now. So if you visit thermostatcultureslive.com, you can actually, up until September 1st, you can get discounted pre-sale tickets. So for you, for team members, I would get there quickly and reserve your spots. If you are interested in a sponsorship opportunity for your team or your organization to get some acknowledgement, but also get some packages around tickets and other great things, you can reach out to us. Email us info@jasonvbarger.com, info@jasonvbarger.com. Or if you're just interested in kind of VIP bulk tickets or any of those kind of sponsorship opportunities. The rest of this, if you're just trying to look for a seat or learn more about the event, visit thermostatcultureslive.com. That's the place to start. You'll see some videos from past, some of the past events and cool things like that that'll give you a vibe and a sense of the day, which is just, again, phenomenal. And this is where I say, just trust me, which I hopefully you will and jump in, because it's been amazing. Now I think this is the 8th year that we're doing it, so it's been fantastic. This year, let me highlight a couple of the voices, just a couple of. There are many other people that'll be a part of this, but just a couple of voices that I'll highlight real quick. James Clear, if you know of James, New York Times best-selling author of the book Atomic Habits, and a world-renowned, masterclass expert on habits and how our systems, our processes impact us as humans, let alone organizations. I spoke at an event last year with James. In fact, we didn't even know this about each other, but we are both proud Denison University alums. Shout out to Denison there. We're both alums of Denison, and we spoke at an event together, and now have become, friends and in a relationship with each other. And so I'm super excited to invite James to be joining me. Really good guy, and he's a tremendous thinker. And so you're going to love thinking about your own personal habits as a leader, but also what are the habits you're forming throughout your culture, and how is that shaping your cultural ecosystem? We're going to dive into all kinds of great stuff related to that. Chloe Valdery, if you listen to a recent podcast I did with Chloe, she is the founder of The Theory of Enchantment. She's amazing. Her company's work on keeping love at the heart of work around bias, bigotry, and disconnection is powerful. And so, again, if you listen to a recent pod, then you know that she's just an amazing voice. And so in such a divided world that we live in today, our conversation, and having Chloe with us is going to be a powerful for every leader and culture that we're talking about. So really excited to have James and Chloe with us. Howard Behar, my great friend and mentor, former president of Starbucks, servant leadership expert. He's going to be joining us virtually. He's going to be a part of the experience again. He's been one of the OGs that have been with me from the very beginning. Ken Boyer, you may remember that name. He's also been with me from the beginning. EY's inclusiveness leader for the Americas, for North and South America. EY, one of the biggest, accounting and tax firms in the world. He's an amazing person and friend, always a value-added voice to help us stimulate progress as humans, leaders, teams, and organizations. So excited. And many, many other great people, but I'm just highlighting a few people there. But those are some of the folks that will be joining me and in the room that day. So my hope is if you're thinking about some questions, here are the questions for today's podcast is, are you attending? Are you attending Thermostat Cultures Live on Friday, November 8th, 2024? And if not, why? Because you ought to be blocking time in your calendar to calibrate your own thermostat. So again, join us in person if you have the ability to do that. You will not regret being in the room with this great group of people. And if you can't do that, then join us virtually and hold your seat and be a part of that. So again, visit thermostatcultureslive.com to reserve your seats. And if you're interested in sponsorship for your team or organization or any kind of packages like that, you can email us info@jasonvbarger.com, and we'll get back to you with some opportunities. info@jasonvbarger.com. So thanks for listening for today's episode. Again, this was a quick preview of the upcoming exciting development opportunity that's here for you. And I go to a lot of events. I speak at a lot of events. I'm so fortunate to be adding value to companies and organizations and working with teams and organizations all over the place. And this is my opportunity to host my own event and to invite people to be a part of something that I'm leading across organizations. So I hope you'll check it out and be a part of it, and I hope you'll keep tuning into the podcast along the way. Remember, the best leaders, teams, and organizations on the planet continue to recalibrate their thermostat together. So don't forget to step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.